Well, when I started it, I said, well, I need to. I actually started the novel first, and then two or three more. And so what I ended up doing was, okay, well, maybe I'll just self-publish. Well, if I'm going to self-publish, I need to delve into it really well. And next thing you know, I'm going, well, I need to contract out with a an illustrator because I stick figures is about where I end up. But I I decided I would get into it. And I'm going to get into the entire all of publishing. So I self-published, and so I came up with this idea for this book called. At the time, it was called um, "The Vanity of the Manatee," but you can understand as I started writing it, maybe a manatee is the least vain, which there's irony there, which probably I could have gone with that, but so that became Molly the Manatee, and Molly the Manatee had its own life. I actually finished it on a trip back from Ireland, and because I had all those hours to fly, and I did. I finished it on that, and then I contracted out with one girl, and she didn't finish the drawings, and then I ended up with Liza Donovan, who is just a great artist, just an amazing artist. She'd never done one before. When Liza had finished all the book, I decided, okay, let's get it. And I found a printer that would print it, and man, next thing you know, I've got it in my hand, which is an exciting. If you're an artist, if you're an illustrator, if you're a writer, getting that book, that first book, it's like having a baby in your hand. It's because you've put so much work into it. And it was really rewarding. Well, next thing you know, I'm talking to some girl in a coffee shop in Charlotte, and she said, "I've always wanted, Mr. Chick, I've always wanted to um, take a children's book and turn it into a play." And I said, "Okay, a musical, actually, a musical." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "Really?" Yeah. So I gave it to her, and she took it, and she finished it, and it became a musical in 2019 up in New York City, which is great. But then 2020 hit and COVID and shut down everything in New York City. So we're looking at relaunching it again and finishing it up. It's been very interesting. The way it sounds, the way it looks, it feels like a Disney movie. Um, so who knows? And she had some Disney people working on it. So my next book was this one, and this was done by Thelma Cat. She was illustrated by her, and this is probably my favorite book that I've ever written. It's a long poem, 12 meters on each page. It reminds me of, and it's sort of out, the old highlights magazine you used to read in like when you went to the doctor. So it has a lot of those little fun things at the end. It's just a lot of different things, like puzzles and everything else at the back of it. And it's a really fun book. The other thing too is it has a lot to do. So you have an animal from every continent. You have it's a geography book. It's a biological book. It's a zoological book. The cool thing is that I did this with Kathleen. I kept adding stuff to this picture. There's a theme if you can figure it out. Anyway, it's rewarding because you've got some things that grandparents would only know, some things that the kids would only know, and they would help each other out. And then, of course, parents would be the same thing. So yeah, as Kathleen is taking her time and doing these beautiful illustrations, I actually come up with this book, and this is the most popular book that I have. It's called No One Likes to Hear Me Sing, and it's about a dog, and his name is No One. And so it's a big dad joke. And here's the best thing: I had a customer tell me one time. She said, I hope no one reads your book." And so I said, "Well, that's going to go on the back page, the back cover." I was driving in Charlotte one day, and I picked up this couple and a friend, and they were kind of drunk, and and so I was kidding with them and stuff, and we started just having this conversation that led to we were going to write a children's book. She said, "Oh, we could write a children's book." I said, "Yeah, we could write a children's book." She says, "Yeah, we should." I said, "Yeah, well, I have." She goes, "Well, no, you haven't." And I said, "Yeah, I read a children's book." "What children's book?" And I said, "No one." And she yelled out, "Likes to hear me sing? That's my favorite book." So it is it's one that just caught on. So it's become a series. I've got three books out now with no one, but there's a bunch of them behind it. So